worked in Faribault.
No. Know the names.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's south of the cities, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. Went to visit him once. Well, it's time for more Our Town. I thought I had more music on that one than what I did, but obviously I didn't. So, welcome back. We're switching. We kind of turned the conversation to issues related to seniors in the second half of the first hour, and we're continuing that trend right now. We're talking about Peace Harbor Hospice and maybe a little bit of home health in the process, because Kathy Haberly is the manager of that whole venue. Is that right, Kathy?
Yes.
Yeah, Kathy, welcome.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. And Donna Becker is the volunteer coordinator for Peace Harbor Hospice. Donna, thanks for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you.
This time of year, one of the reasons we're here is because this time of year is when hospice is working up for your major fundraiser. You don't exist solely on donations, but that's one of your requirements of some of your grant funding that you do, that you have to hold a fundraiser every year, and that's the Light Up a Life. And this is an event that's coming up in early September. So let's talk about that right off the bat.
Actually, early December.
Is that what did I say November?
September.
September.
Yeah.
Next month. Anyway, I got a brochure here. Tell me about it, Kathy.
December 14th is Light Up a Life. It's our annual remembrance celebration that we do for our annual fundraiser, which is required of all hospices to have an annual fundraiser. But it's a special event to have families, give families the opportunity to remember their loved ones, and whether they were on hospice or not, but families can donate and purchase what we call a star that they'll put their loved one's name on, and during the ceremony we read all the names, and then the stars are on the tree, and they just have some time for reflection.
That's one of the things I particularly like about that event. Is it is a fundraiser, but it's not primarily a fundraiser. It doesn't really look like a fundraiser. It is a time to remember folks that have passed, and because you and your department or agency, that's what you focus on, and so I mean, some of it I imagine it's hard to let go because you meet so many friends that pass on, and it's nice to and not only the folks that pass on, but their family members and friends that you make acquaintances with and friendship with at that time too. So it gives you a chance to get together with them as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the really special parts of that are all the hospice staff, the nurses and the therapists, and all of our staff come to the event, and so they get a chance to reconnect with some of the patients' families that they've served through the year.
All right. Kathy Haberly is the manager of Peace Harbor Hospice and Home Health.
Yes.
Right. Now tell me the difference between hospice and home health. I mean, they both look alike because a health professional comes to the home and provides care, but there is a major difference, isn't there?
Yes, there's a lot of differences, and home health is primarily, we have a very strong focus on improving outcomes and helping patients who have maybe possibly been in the hospital for a surgery, or they have a wound that needs follow-up care, or they need IV antibiotics, and these patients are required to be what we call homebound, what our government calls homebound status, and they have to be home. They have to be. It has to be a very considerable taxing effort for them to
Right.
leave the home. In other words, they need help with equipment, and they need help with assistance with another person,
Yeah.
and they're intermittently leaving the home, possibly maybe to go to the doctor, but they're primarily at home, and it's difficult for them to get out. And they have to also have an intermittent need for a skilled care, such as a nurse or therapy.
And the alternative for that is, if you don't have somebody that can go to their home and provide that skilled care, the alternative is they're in an institution.
That could be that they have to be
Yeah.
in a rehab center for a while, but
Patients in that situation, do you feel that they do heal recover quicker if they're in their own home?
Oh, absolutely. Home. We all in home
Yeah.
care know that home is the best place to heal, and people in the hospital, many of them are in a strange environment. They don't retain the instruction that's given to them they're instructed very, very well by staff, but once they get home, we can go in and they're much more relaxed. If we're teaching them about diet, we can pull out the labels on their food and talk to them specifically. Our therapists can demonstrate in their own home and with their own equipment and in their own environment.
Yeah. So the objective with home health is to provide the care in the nursing, skilled nursing, that somebody needs to get better, recover, and get back to as much of a normal routine as they can, whatever they're recuperating from. Hospice, however, has a different focus, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hospice patients, they have been certified by the two physicians that they if their disease continues on its normal course, that they have a prognosis of 6 months or less.
Mm-hmm.
So those patients, our focus there is supportive care, end of life care, keeping a patient as comfortable as possible, helping them to have the resources they need, the support they need, to be able to stay in their own home, but yet be comfortable and have their families surrounding them, and to have die with dignity.
Do you have people resist hospice at times?
We have many people that are afraid of hospice. I think that the word hospice can promote fear in folks who don't know a lot about it, or even just the word hospice, you think, oh, dying, cancer. But hospice is something that is a benefit, that is Medicare benefit to all the folks who need that care. It's an amazing service, and if they see what the benefits are of hospice, versus, it means I'm dying, but
it's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen whether somebody is there with you or not. I think a lot of people do associate hospice with, I think we've all had a conversation at some point in the past about, oh, so-and-so's not doing well, I guess they called hospice. Mm-hmm. And that's usually the signal that time is pretty short.
Yes.
But one of the things that you do, and the folks that work with you, is to make that time. I mean, that time can be difficult, stressful for all concerned. It can be painful. And that's one of the things you do, is to try to find ways to ease that. Right?
Yes, the focus really is on managing the symptoms that they have as they're nearing the end of life, and whatever those may be. And pain is a major one, but there's also the nausea and the anxiety and spiritual discomfort. There's a lot of things that we do that we can do to help any of those issues that a family's facing.
Give me a little background on hospice. Where did it start? I mean,
our hospice?
Well, our hospice and hospice in general, I think. Does Donna know that? Donna Becker is the volunteer coordinator. Give me a little brief history of hospice care itself.
It's actually not that new in our country. It came in 1974 on the West Coast. It started in Connecticut and moved its way across the country. So 1974, that's not that long ago. I think our Peace Harbor Hospice started in 1991, 94.
1994.
So we haven't been around for that long.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, well, 20 years, but
Yeah.
we're still growing.
Yeah. And it started at just exactly what it is now, and that's to provide palliative care. Is that the word?
That's the one word we would use, yes.
Yes. See, I like those 4 or 5 syllable words. Palliative. And it's basically, that's just easing discomfort stuff. Now, Kathy, you mentioned spiritual side of things, and Peace Health is a spiritual organization. It's a faith-based organization. But when somebody makes a home visit on hospice, you're generally not proselytizing. You have a chaplain that will help if somebody doesn't have a spiritual connection of their own. It's basically, you're just there to help them find their way if they're looking for one. Right?
Well, yes, that's right. There is no, it's a neutral spiritual support, I would say. Our chaplain is Marty Free, who is also our hospital chaplain. But when we go out to the home as a chaplain, we're there to just offer any spiritual support they need, help them connect with their own clergy. If they, whatever kinds of resources they need, that she's there for. And just, it's again that just spiritual support. It's very neutral.
Mm-hmm. All right. Donna, it looked like you were ready to jump into something. We're talking about Peace Harbor Home Health and Hospice. Kathy Haberly is the manager of that. Donna Becker is the volunteer coordinator. We're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about just exactly what a volunteer coordinator does for hospice, and also some of the programs where Donna puts volunteers to work, and that's honoring veterans and the Vet-to-Vet program, which is something they focused on here recently. You're listening to Our Town. We'll be back with more right after this. Talking about Peace Harbor Home Health and Hospice, and we're going to talk with Donna Becker a little bit more right here, and she's the volunteer coordinator for Peace Harbor Hospice. So do you use volunteers at Home Health?
No.
Okay, so hospice is, you usually need a few more people because there's a lot more than just medical and health related things.
Correct.
Yeah.
And to be registered with Medicare, it is required that you have a volunteer program. You have to show that 5% of your total clinical hours are volunteers.
Yeah. And let's back up a little bit, because you're talking about registered with Medicare. You have to have a fundraiser. You have to have volunteers. Medicare will pay for hospice care. But in order to be a qualified hospice care program, you have to meet certain criteria, and two of those, the fundraising program and the volunteer program. So Donna, that's all you do is...
I'm also a social worker.
Okay.
Yep. So I do a little bit of that.
So you do some home visits as well. All right. How many volunteers do you have roughly? I imagine it probably changes from week to week sometimes.
Sure does, but I am very fortunate. I have 45 volunteers currently.
45 volunteers?
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a real clear reflection on this community and how much you guys give back.
Well, the first thing I ask is, do you have that many people on hospice?
No. We have a census anywhere between 15 and 25 at any given time. And not all those 45 volunteers are direct patient volunteers. Some people want to give back to hospice, but in the form of office work or special projects.
Yeah.
And so I'd say 2/3 of the volunteers are patient support, and the other third is office.
So planning and organizing things
helping with Light Up a Life.
Light Up a Life, right? Mailing out notices and stuff like that. What do volunteers do? The ones that visit homes. What the ones that are directly involved in care? What do they do?
So the most important thing that our volunteers do is something called respite care, which is where we, as a hospice team, feel it's just as important for us to take care of the caregivers as it is to take care of the patients. So those volunteers are trained to go out, hang out with the patients, while those caregivers hightail it out, go for a walk on the beach, grab
Just
some
get away.
lunch.
It can be that can be one of the most stressful things in life. Taking care
Absolutely.
of a partner or a child or a parent with no break. So respite care is very, very
It's
big.
a huge thing.
Yeah.
I also feel pretty strongly about getting volunteers involved with our facility patients, because those guys tend to be pretty lonely. So having that one-on-one companionship component, I think, is really important.
So facility patients, somebody that's in the hospital and inpatient.
Regency Care Center.
Okay, in a care
Spruce
facility.
Point. Yeah, those.
Yeah. That's a good question. Do you provide hospice care to people who are in facilities?
Oh, yes. It's wherever the patient lives, wherever their home is, we can go.
Okay.
But home health patients, we're more generally, if they're in a skilled facility, we don't provide care.
Because they don't necessarily need your services for home health if they're in a skilled facility.
Right.
Because that's what the skilled facility does.
Yes.
Donna, one of the volunteer programs that you take care of, and that I recently have seen some information on, is the Vet-to-Vet program.
So my newest program.
Your newest program. Now that's an overall. That's part of an overall program called what? We Honor Veterans.
We Honor Veterans. Yep.
Yeah. Tell me about the overall
Sure.
thing first.
So we joined We Honor Veterans a few years ago. It's a nationwide effort. It's a joint effort between the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization and the Veterans Administration to help hospices meet the unique needs of veterans at the end of life.
I think it was very interesting in the information that you sent out a couple weeks ago. 1 in 5.
1 in 4.
1 in 4
People
who pass away are veterans.
Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So at any given time, a quarter of our caseload is they're veterans.
Yeah.
They're people who have served.
Do veterans generally require specialized attention, or?
It totally depends on their military experience and what they've gone through. So we are respectful of that and go there if they want to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a veteran, but I only served 2 years in active duty. There was no combat involved.
Well, thank you for your service.
So you just honored me. Thank you very much. But I don't feel like if I were in the situation, I'm like, I'm more of a civilian than I ever was a veteran. But I imagine for a lot of people, especially when they get older, that military service becomes a very important part of their life.
Especially now, we are losing our World War II veterans. I mean, those guys went through a lot, and so for us to be able to recognize and honor them, a unique component that we do in this program is the recognition part for our patients, and so we do a little mini celebration ceremony that says thank you, and we honor them with some gifts. And
I think attitudes and recognition of veterans and service has changed dramatically, especially since the start of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. There's a lot of recognition, but before that, I think it was a tendency to just kind of overlook and take for granted the fact that somebody was in the service.
Yeah.
Now, the Vet-to-Vet program, you have specific volunteers that are veterans that will go visit. What are some of the things that they do?
So we have 5 new Vet-to-Vet volunteers, and a big part of what they do is just that companionship piece. There is a instant bond between a veteran and a veteran, and I can't replicate that with another volunteer. So to be able to bring down those boundaries right off the bat by introducing them to a fellow veteran and allowing them to have that free conversation, it's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah, try to match up the same branch of service?
Yes, I do, actually.
It seems like there is, especially, particularly Marines, there's a particular esprit de corps.
Yep, absolutely.
And they'll talk to us Navy pukes occasionally, but Marines, generally like to associate with Marines. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you hear about? That in addition to making life easier towards the end, does it make them rally sometimes?
Absolutely. That attention, I think 75% of the time our patients improve after they come onto hospice or get all this extra special care and attention, and they improve, and then their natural disease process takes over. But we absolutely get in there and promote quality of life right off the bat.
Yeah. It's not a cure, Kathy Haverly, but it does sometimes just that little bit of emotional support.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Donna, where do you get volunteers?
Oh my gosh. I'm so fortunate. Most people come to volunteer for hospice because of some personal experience. They've had a loved one in their life that has died, or a good friend, and they just want to give back in some way, shape, or form. So.
Now, we should mention that one of the volunteers, Eunice Tevelin, we hoped that she'd be here, but circumstances arose that she wasn't able to. But Eunice has been a member of the board of directors for hospice since
1994.
Since it started, 1994. And she before that she was a hospice volunteer in other communities, right?
She's been a hospice volunteer also since 1994. When we started, she was elected to the board, and she's also served as a volunteer all these years.
Now, she has a background that is not too different from many of your volunteers. Her husband went through hospice. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. You can't talk about it because you're a medical professional. Eunice could talk about it, and is that a common thing, Donna? People have a family member that is on hospice, and then
they witness all the good things and they want to be a part of that and give back. So definitely.
Let's talk about the grieving process. Do you, through hospice, through the volunteers and the healthcare professionals, Kathy, does that help the grieving process for family members who are left behind?
Oh yes, our social workers are very well trained on bereavement, and that's part of the support that we have. That's a part of the benefit of hospice.
We should mention that's another. It's not just skilled nursing care, and it's not just a volunteer, but folks like Donna, a social worker who is trained to help people. And what are some?
Well, we have Debbie Hunt is really we have a bereavement coordinator that actually keeps track of our families after the patients pass.
Right.
And the benefit extends for 13 months past their death. That there's that bereavement, and we have a grief support group that meets weekly that they could be a part of if they want to. But there's a preparation that happens from the very beginning. After they're admitted to hospice, and it's all individualized. Each family's different, each patient's different, and that's another part of the service.
Yeah. How do patients, how are they referred to hospice? Is this something they just pick up the phone and say, well, I think it's time, and call you and say, I need a hospice support, or does it come through their primary care physician?
A little bit of everything. Mostly it comes from their primary care physician, who's been working closely with them in their disease process. Sometimes we'll get some random phone calls from community members that say, my loved one's failing and we just don't know what to do. Can you guys talk to us about hospice and see if this is appropriate? But most of the time it comes from a physician.
Do you ever have resistance from people who are afraid it's going to cost them money?
There is that concern, and we have a letter that we can send out if they do have co-pays. Some insurance companies usually have hospice benefits, but
Right.
we always are upfront about how much that their portion would be in those cases. So
I don't think a lot of people realize it's a Medicare benefit that it's covered at 100% under the
100%
Medicare Part A. So and a lot of people are very surprised about that.
So if they're over 65 on Medicare,
They've paid into it.
they paid into it and they have a benefit. I imagine you probably have folks who are under 65 not on Medicare that go through hospice, unfortunately, from time to time. But like you said, a lot of times insurance carriers have coverage for that. But ultimately, Peace Health never turns anybody away for care.
That's right.
Yeah. So, visiting with Kathy Haverly, she's the manager of Peace Harbor Hospice and Home Health, and Donna Becker, she's a volunteer coordinator for the program and a social worker. Do you help people with final arrangements?
Yes, that's we from the very beginning. That's another thing that we start out assessing. What their needs are, what type of plans they've made, what kind of arrangements to support them, and getting connected with the community resources, and either the social workers or our chaplain will help them with that.
Yeah, and now Donna, you through the vet program, you can also help them find out about VA benefits.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You don't necessarily interpret them for them, but you.
Right. That would take a very talented individual. No, that's not me.
But you're a resource to say, hey, here's who you can call, or here's where you should.
Yep, absolutely. And making those calls for them and taking that away from them is huge. Yeah. It's quite overwhelming.
Yeah. We're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Kathy Haverly and Donna Becker. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Light Up a Life, about how people can honor those they have lost, how they can get involved in that, and just a little bit more about the thing itself. Be back with more Our Town right after this. How does somebody, if they want to remember somebody, you talked about the tree with a star with the names on it, how do they register for that? How do they get involved in advance for that?
Well, they can call our office, and they can come by the office. We have forms that they can fill out, and then that's how it gets started. And then, their family member is registered, and then we have the volunteers that put their names at the stars. There's flyers that we have sent out to certain businesses, and in fact, in their PUD bills this month, they should be getting a little mailer that tells a little bit, and it's a very, very small form, but it does give them all the information they need to be able to call and send, and they can mail a donation in, and our address is on that form.
And you ask for a donation, but you don't ask for a specific amount.
No.
Yeah. Do you find people usually pretty generous, though?
Yes, very. This is a generous town.
Yes, it is, very generous. So how many people do you think you remember on a usual basis?
Oh my goodness. That list is very long. It's got to be a couple hundred at least. Yeah.
I would estimate that.
Really? Yeah. That must be a big tree.
It
a big
is.
tree.
It's
Big tree with a lot of names on
Lots
it.
of stars.
So the program itself is coming up December 14th.
Mhm.
Is that the
Saturday.
Saturday, right?
Mhm.
Okay. What time does it start?
It's at 2 p.m.
At 2
the Florence Event Center.
at the event center, and usually some, a lot of light music, and then the hospice board members are introduced, and I've got the list here. So the advisory board members are Catherine Brower, Mary Danforth, Frank Forbes, Bill Houston, Barbara McGoy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Terry Pennington, Gail Petty, Ron Preisler,
Mm-hmm.
Betty Rollins, Jean Schmeling, and Eunice Tevlin. Now, what do the advisory board members do?
Well, we have a monthly meeting, and they are involved with anything to do with our hospice planning, things that come up. This fundraiser is a
Yeah.
huge endeavor. It really takes about 6 months of planning and
Really?
oh yes, and very
Yeah.
very much. And they do things like we talk about policies and procedures and just updates, and they really help us have
Yeah.
accountability in our agency.
They give you another arm because you are an agency at Peace Health and
Yes.
Peace Harbor Medical Center, but you have another. They don't tell you what to do, but they make suggestions. Is that
Yeah.
a good analogy?
Yes, and
Yeah.
we're required. This is another requirement of Medicare that we have an advisory board.
They provide some guidance to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is a pretty broad cross section of the community. I'm looking at a lot of the names I recognize on
Mhm.
here, and so you probably have a lot of background, different types of background.
Yes, we do. We have retired nurses, and we have just some people that have been in business, which, and there's a couple folks that were in HR, and they've helped us with some policy
I saw
review.
Frank on there. How many employees do you have at Home Health and Hospice? I don't need an exact number because
I think it's 33 or 34.
it's a
somewhere
good
around
sized department.
there. Yes.
Now, not all of those are skilled nursing positions.
No, we have case manager nurses who are full-time, and we have a couple LPNs, licensed practical nurses,
Mhm.
that work under the direction of our RNs. And then we have what we call home health and hospice aides. They're CNA 2s, and they
Certified
go in-
nursing assistants.
Yes, and they
Okay.
go in and do the personal care and
Yeah.
assist them, the patients with showers, whatever's needed to keep them safe. And then we have a physical therapist, occupational therapist. We have that's all the home health team pretty
Right.
much, and then social workers.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, on our hospice team, we have our volunteer coordinator, Donna,
Mhm.
and we have the chaplain, and we have Strings of Compassion, which are two wonderful harpists who go out into the home and play.
I've heard about them.
Yes, and they will be playing at Light Up a Life too. So we're very honored. And we have also on our team for hospice is our wonderful medical director, Dr. Stephen Kerner.
All right. I'm glad you mentioned Dr. Kerner because he's very involved in the hospice care. He really sets the example for everybody else, doesn't he?
Oh, that's his passion.
Yeah. What else do we need to talk about here? I'm looking at how we've talked about how people can get hospice care. They can either pick up the phone and call you, or usually through their physician, right? Let's talk about the focus of care itself when it's on hospice. You deal with pain relief,
Symptom management.
symptom management.
Mhm.
I'm trying to. What about folks? This is kind of rambling off here a little bit, but Oregon is a state that allows assisted suicide, physician-assisted suicide. Is that something that would be a bit of a conflict?
Yeah, we
With you,
do
is
not
it?
take part in those.
Yeah. But, not only is it against the philosophies of the parent organization, but it would seem to me like it would be just a little bit of a conflict. But if somebody wants to do that, they're welcome to do that. But
We still serve those patients
Yeah.
in hospice. We
In
just
ho-
can't actively participate in that process.
all right. You know what? I've got one last break. No, I don't have one last break. I need to keep talking for another couple minutes. So let's wrap things up here. So the 14th, once again, they can go to the Peace Harbor website for the Light Up a Life?
Yes, and it's a little bit, I think, hard to find where you can, fill out
Yeah.
the forms. The forms it's a little difficult to maneuver through that website.
Okay.
We're hoping
It's a
to-
big website.
Yes.
There's
yes.
a lot of stuff on there.
So that is a possibility.
Yeah.
So
The main thing, though, if somebody has questions, I mean, they can call and talk to a social worker. I have one in the room here with me.
yeah, they can call our office, and there's quite a number of us would be happy to answer any questions they have.
All right. And what's the phone number to reach Hospice Home Health?
It's 541-997-3418.
Okay, so 341, which is kind of the catch-all number for a lot, and you're going to get a main switchboard receptionist, and they'll transfer you to Home Health. If they want to just walk in and talk to somebody, where's the office at?
It's at 310 9th Street. We're on the far west corner of the campus, the Peace Hill campus.
Okay, clear up on the far west end, right?
Towards Rhodey.
Yeah, up next to where the old pharmacy used to be.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Well, Kathy Haberly, thank you very much. Do you have any other events or recognitions during the year that we need to talk about real quick, other than Light Up a Life?
I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
all right.
We have some future plans we're hoping to.
All right. Kathy, thank you very much for coming this afternoon.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Kathy Haberly is the manager of Peace Harbor Home Health and Hospice. Donna Becker is a volunteer coordinator and a social worker. Donna, thank you very much for coming
Thank
in.
you. Thanks
And I
for
hope
having
to
us.
check in with you guys again. This is Our Town. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.